Hi, everyone. I hope this has synced it up really good, because welcome to the Story Bazaar, a.k.a. Road to Redemption. I didn't get too deep into that microphone, but there is a lot of sound from the clapping and being angry at Jeremy, so I do apologize if you have to hear all of that, Tyler. I'm sorry for your ears. Welcome. Nothing too crazy. Say hi, boys.
Hi, boys.
I kind of want to jump right into things if you don't.
Let's
if you
do
don't
it.
mind.
Let's do it. Right
I'm excited.
I am excited. All right. We open on a serene visage of a proud and slumbering city of redemption, a shining monument in its own right to the ideals of camaraderie, hope, and togetherness. Though this peace would soon be swept up in a swell of building tensions as our vision is taken to the farmhouse, residence of Mr. Patrick Stump, and also home to the most prominent guild hall, the Hands of Progress. An explosion rings out, rocking the side of the building as purple flames and smoke begin to billow out. 4 figures can be seen fleeing on the backs of 2 massive blue and gold beetles, with a covered metal wagon, with tarps hastily thrown over a large object. As the beasts go tear-assing away from the scene, lightly armored figures giving chase atop what can only be described as mower bikes. The 2 parties venture before disappearing into the wilds. We then time skip because, tension, suspense.
I love it. By mower bike, do you mean like lawnmowers?
100%. That is correct. Like think of like a 2-wheeled motorcycle, but instead of the wheels being sort of like wheels, they're like lawnmower blades that are causing them to hover above the ground.
Oh, okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Is it only used for transportation, or is
you
it
don't
also
know
used
that.
for landscaping?
We don't know that in much detail yet.
He said can only be described as that.
As mower bikes.
So
I'm letting your imagination run wild with how it's used, because right now they're in hot pursuit of 2 massive beetles and 4 figures dragging away some stolen goods. But that's not important right now because we're time skipping. We're going to it's about midday now.
Okay.
After the tenuous chaos, we're set on a beautiful series of runes and sigils that we follow down further throughout the city of redemption, guiding us downward to the grand lift, a large elevator system. But we don't take that lift. We continue following those runes down to where our story begins in the second layer of Ned. If you know what that is at home, you know what I'm talking about. We're at Restuary, a massive fortress built into the side of the literal stone of the never-ending darkness itself, encased and covered in these same sigils and runes that seem to almost act as veins stretching out throughout the many layers of the never-ending darkness, we follow those runes inward into the fortress to an ornate stone room with fine and almost a little gaudy for the occupant's taste furnitures like a bed and a desk, and set above the desk are these 2 light fixtures that glow with a dim blue glow that you notice throughout the entirety of Restuary itself, like a heartbeat or a pulse. It sort of kind of gives a dull, dim glow as we pan down to the desk. Books and papers strewn about in a very haphazard way as we see Kornoth. What are you? What's Kornoth doing right now at this desk full of books? Do you think? Because in my head, I picture he was unconscious, asleep. Because it's like it's about midday, but clearly a research has been going on. You know.
What
do you think?
No, many a night he spends just at his desk researching. He tries to use the history of the world and these books and everything that's gathered to try to pinpoint where he might find the next magical item to return to the tribe it once belonged to restore the...
So you'd say he's probably pretty busy at work still, like probably still researching through the night, would you have said?
Oh, yes. No. He researched and then he passed out. I don't think he has I don't think it's a system where they have quotas and stuff, but it's more like if you're here, you need to help the cause. And the way he's helping the cause is just gather information from... Yeah, no, Restuary,
I called it a museum. This Restuary is literally the de facto repository and sort of home for all arcane artifacts and sort of knowledge about the new world that's going on here. It's a library, it's a museum, it's a city. It's it's all in one, you know. And as Kornoth has probably taken his 3rd or 4th nap, a large thud onto the desk as a bigger book is thrown down, and we notice a slightly taller half-elven woman in sort of think archaeologist or just work gear, kind of for outdoorsy shit. Kind of seems like she's in a hurry. She tossed the book and she's like, "Hey, How's the research coming?
It's going. I'll return the books at the end of the day,
No,
as
not
promised.
talking about returning the books. You're fine. Just maybe don't drool on these very old and ancient tomes that are one of a kind. Irreplaceable, some would say. And she kind of claps you on the back with a laugh and is like, would you walk with me? I actually have some information for you, not regarding what you are researching, but sort of a test of sorts.
I'm intrigued.
And she guides you out into the hallway. And like as you guys step out into the hallway, you can see like everything's sort of set up with like these ladders, and like each of the dormitory kind of like staying cells that you're in are like stacked atop one another with like a little shelf to kind of hop off to and get into your own room. Like, but there's like they wheel around almost like a library situation. So like the ladders aren't set in stone. You know, you can like someone could easily come by with their books that they just came from the library, hop into their room and send the ladder off. It's very cool.
I love
but
that.
you're not worried about that right now as
It's
you guys
efficient.
venture out into the
Sounds
main
so
hall where you see before you a large structure that you've seen before because you've been here. It's the Well of Arclight. It is the power source of Restuary. It's in the most protected area because like all the students, all the staff, everybody's going to be around here. If someone wants to fuck with it, they're going to have to make a lot of noise. And
I really like that. So the living quarters is basically like built around this thing. So it's like you are not going to sneak this large thing out. There is like
I was thinking of it even on funnier terms. Like say there was like a phone situation. You're like, oh, I couldn't charge my phone. Really? The giant battery that's powering everything is right here. You couldn't charge your phone, you know? But to describe it in a bit more detail, it's a massive sphere of what seems to be pure arcane energy surrounded by two platinum and gem encrusted rings that seem to move counterclockwise and like one of those physics toys on like a person's desk, you know, and they seem to envelop this ring, and it's housed in what can only be described as a shallow stone well. Some of those runes are carved into it around the sides, but that it doesn't seem as impressive for what is being housed in this area. And as you guys are walking by, she kind of is jotting down something on this like almost like tablet, like light screen, like very futuristic shit. And you see she's scrolling through, and the events that we heard about in the little interim that you didn't know before sort of come up. Massive damage in the city of Redemption, and an artifact that was on loan was stolen.
ooh, that ain't good.
Yeah.
Not great.
No, not at all. And she sort of looks to you. She's like, I know you're still sort of new here, and we haven't officially inducted you into the guild, but I think this would be a perfect test of whether or not you are ready for this kind of work. Because just because we're looking for artifacts doesn't always mean they're in the dirt. Sometimes we have to go and do a few house calls or make a few investigations to see, you know, who has what, get it registered, at least. Even if it is theirs, even if they have full right and claim to it, we need to have an ID of what it is, what it's capable of, and where it is at all times. Because if these things get out of hand, we could have another surface situation.
I completely understand. And I know I am just a not even new recruit, you know. But I would like to gather as part of my physician which magical item is it? What will I be facing?
She pulls up a picture of what looks to be it's a series of these metal tubes and a sort of pod casing thing that was used to what you know just from like base knowledge. It was being used by the farm to try and genetically modify the seeds that they were trying to grow to be more conductive to the environment that is down here. Not everything's going to be able to grow underground the same way that it did on the surface. And they were using this pod to help sort of germinate different seeds and like cross-pollinate things in a way that was like a controlled environment, not so much just leaving it up to what happened when they were first starting to farm and everything, as we learned in the world building episode.
That's a very cool magical item.
It seems, you know, innocuous enough. You think a seed grower, but the implications of what someone could use this for with the right knowledge,
Definitely.
devastating.
You could have like killer vine situations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And who's to say it's exclusively used for plants? You know,
I don't wanna think
we've
about
only
that. I'm
scratched the
just not gonna
surface of
think
things,
about
and we have. Something about this feels planned. It doesn't feel like run of the mill stealing just a random expensive item. out of all of the things on the farm and in that guild, this one item was taken, and we want to know why. So I'm sending you, obviously, with one other person to investigate and bring back any information you have on who did what, where they were headed, and we'll go from there. We don't want to cause too much of a panic right now, seeing as everything is relatively under control in terms of their people starting their own investigations. So just work with that guild and see what they know and come back to us with your information. And depending on how this shakes out, we might actually get you on your first guild mission. She kind of gives you a nudge. I know you've got a lot on your plate with your own artifact and everything, and we still have people researching things for you as well in the background, so don't feel like you're having to put your own studies on the back burner for this job. This is...
I assure you, I would not have joined if I had such small ambitions. I will restore my family's heirloom, but there are many families who are not around to take on such a purpose. We have a responsibility.
And this is exactly what I saw in you, Kornoth. That spark. A person who cares not only about people, but about the preservation of more than just petty items.
Also, not that I'm too worried about who's the stranger I'm going to talk to. I'm a bit much on approach.
You'll be speaking with a representative of Mr. Patrick Stump, not him himself. He is taking a leave of absence since the events of last night. 2 of his men are still missing in the wilds who had went in search of the assailants, or I guess the thieves. That would also need to be researched, but that can come at a later time. We need to get more eyes on what is actually going on, see if they left any clues. It seemed like a get in, get out sort of job, but that's just it. How did they get in?
There must be at least one inside man or someone who slipped up. We wouldn't loan that out to them if it was just out on the floor just sitting. I assume they're strangers.
And at any rate, time is of the essence, so...
Yes, I apologize.
If you'll meet with a one Mr. Hadan at the Grand Lifts, he will be escorting you up to the Redemption proper, and you guys will head to the farm from there.
Yes, absolutely. May I ask one small favor before I depart?
Of course. Also, this person, I don't know if I mentioned their name is Kama. Kahma. She is the guild leader of Restuary, or like at least one of the acting main guild heads.
May I return the books I borrowed so that I am not absolutely eviscerated by
Of course, no
librarian.
worries. That can all be definitely taken care of.
Okay. He scares me. It was something the Wise, and he threatened me with his scepter. I can never remember his name.
Oh, Gripnor the Wise, of course. Yes, he runs the library here. Definitely didn't make that up on the spot.
You didn't. You brought up Gribnor the Wise in the building underground.
Oh, I was able to trick Kyle into introducing the guy. He said there's no such guy in my world.
If you want to hear the origin story of Gribnor the Wise, go listen to Story Bazaar, Building the Underground, Part 1.
He had a scepter of tools.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do. Yeah, he's got a scepter of tools. Yep, it's just a multi-tool on the end of a very long stick.
Listen, I don't care. I just needed the titles in.
All right, so you're going to the library then?
Yes, and we don't have to roleplay that if we want.
No, for sure. You make your way down. You take one of the many like little wheelie ladders and kind of scoot your way off. It's pretty cool because you're like zooming past other people with different varying ladders as they're also going to different sections. No one's crashing into each other. It's a very cool system of like just, hey, what's up? Passing people books and different tools and things as they go by.
So it's like different heights and angles from the
Yes. Some of them are bowed out. Some of them look like monkey bars that are like
that's so cool.
jutted out to the side and stuff.
Like
it's very interesting the way it works, but like it's so meticulously detailed that like it's no possible way anyone could collide unless they're absolutely trying to.
Yeah.
So you go wheeling by and you stop off at the library where you definitely see standing behind the desk giant, I'm talking thick, almost like 5-inch thick glasses that like make his eyes look like 2 evil pinpoints. And he's hunched over. Kornoth, bringing back my books, I see.
Yes, as I should. I understand I'm on a thin.
Drooling on other pages, I see. That's gonna cost you.
No. And he rubs it like in his shirt. He's like, it's fine. I
Great,
apologize.
yes, smear the ancient ink with your spit. That's a lot better. I love that part where I couldn't read it.
Closes it awkwardly and is like, would it be a bad time to ask to take one out for a longer term loan?
Yes, no, ruin more of my ancient books that I am the only
understand.
one who has to keep up with.
No, I completely understand. There was an artifact stolen, as you may have heard. I was hoping you might have any kind of books, any kind of thing to assist with my investigation in determining its location, determining the danger we're in.
Maybe. What is the artifact that you are inquiring about?
Oh, yes, it's I didn't listen to the name.
I don't even think I gave you a name.
Okay, good. I didn't have a name in my head. But you showed me
It's the pipey seed multiplier.
Yeah, it's a seed. It's the gene pipe. I don't know. I don't have a name for it.
No,
right off
you
the
nailed
top
it in
of my
one. Gene pipe is beautiful.
Is that Jean?
No,
No,
Gene
gene like jeans.
I know.
Like
Jeans like denim. It's the denim pipe.
The denim pipe.
The denim
Anyone
pipe.
who touches it, you get like the Midas touch, but it turns everything into jeans.
The denim. No, but the gene pipe is you go ahead and give me a history roll to see if you can do. You can do it with advantage since you're working with the library man.
11? Yes, an 11. I rolled very badly, but it's
Okay,
fine.
yeah. I think you find like a cursory book that's like pretty much the same as what Kama told you, not to like but like Kama wouldn't lie. Like there's not anything that they're withholding. Like they know what the farm was using it for. It's not necessarily like got any grander thing than like it affects genes. It affects like the growth of bio and organic, I guess, materials in small ways. But like they don't know of any. There's no reports of anyone using it on like a grand scale besides like the farm using it to like manufacture a seed that they can then grow into plants and propagate from there.
So basically the thing I was trying to find is if I was just trying to find something where like during the mission it might be able to help me, but it doesn't sound like they really have
they don't have necessarily information
just
on the crime scene or like why it would have been stolen or whatever.
Oh no, not that, but like information about like maybe the lore of the item, like past users, maybe the people who created it, like that kind of thing.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think on an 11 you get that information.
That's totally fair.
Chance. I would say that like it's like the cursory open thing. He gives you the book anyway. He's like, there might be something. Who knows? But make sure you bring it back with less drool.
Yes, and I take it out and wrap it in a cloth and put it in my scholarly backpack.
And he just takes this, like, he's a really small kobold gentleman, like older kobold gentleman. He picks up that stack of books that you just dropped at his desk like nothing and just walks away with it. Like, huge stack of, like, many books. And he's just like, all right. And just kind of waves you off as he walks into different varying halls of the thing. From there, our vision is cut and pulled away from Restuary, a bit further up nearing the wilds and the border of Redemption to the Underwood. Just below the shimmering bioluminescent fungus and foliage, the smell of a well-tended campfire and cooked food catches the wind as we see three figures moving about a small camp. And we then open up to Eldritch. Where are you in this camp, Eldritch?
Is it Eldritch or Eldrick?
Eldrick.
Eldrick, my bad. I'm sorry.
Eldrick, yep. So I think Eldrick is kind of tending to the fire a little bit. Maybe potentially cooking a meal.
Yeah. Are there any thoughts going through Eldrick's head right now? Because I know you said he kind of like self-isolated, not necessarily was banished, but like.
I think Eldrick he's a little anxious. He knows it's time for him to move on to redemption. To kind of continue on his path, but he's a little hesitant because he doesn't want to leave his newfound companions behind. I
think as he's having these thoughts, an older dragonborn gentleman who you would know as Zeknog, he comes up with a smile. He has a sort of wicker-made basket that like looks handcrafted, full of mushrooms and various nuts that he's collected, and he sort of throws them into the cast iron cauldron that you've got the food cooking with. They're like prepped, like very perfectly, like almost meticulously. And he gives you a kind of smile, and it's like, so It's the last few days for you here, eh?
Yes, I believe so. I think it's time to move on.
So are you planning on ever going back to the village, or is this it for you? Are you moving on to bigger things, better things?
I don't know. I'd like to believe that I'd like to return one day, but I just don't know if I have the strength, you know?
Mm-hmm. In the midst of your conversation, almost like a fuck that noise, as this second, like almost middle-aged dragonborn woman comes over and she kind of like hip checks you away from the pot and she tastes it. You didn't learn anything from anyone in that village, did you? And she takes the spoon from your hand. She's like, I don't know why you'd want to go back there. They've been rumors and talks have changed now that new young leader, Bagan, has been running amok in there. It's not the same as old tradition. I understand leaving for one thing, but these are different times. These are new times, changing with this fancy arcane technology and all these elevators and their stink pits and their changing of foods and their bikes and traveling through and from. I remember when a village focused on the village. Do you remember that? Are you too young to have remembered something like that? And I think I think Zeknog kind of looks at you with like a here she goes. like you guys have been through this. Like you guys have been through this before. Like, you know, she means well, but she's like, she has nothing nice to say about your village.
Yeah, she's on her same shit.
yes, she has nothing nice to say of the place you guys all come from, kind of collectively. But Zeknog's like, I'm holding out hope that maybe we could get with the times, but I'm old, so when I die, what does my opinion matter? He kind of chuckles to himself as he says that, and they just kind of preparing you for your journey. They packed small satchels of like dried meats and dried mushrooms in like little bento, almost like bento style, like box things that they've wrapped up for you. They've got your weapons and everything laid out. Like these people, for all intents and purposes, have been like grandparents for you. They've been helping you out here and kind of getting you used to the wilds. Like you guys have traveled beyond the Underwood and like the wilder outside things, but you haven't necessarily been to any of the major cities since leaving the village before.
I can't even begin to tell you guys how much I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Yeah, well, it's all we can do. It's all we know is community.
Yeah.
Even if things change for them, it doesn't have to change for all of us.
Yeah.
You can help people out just because. And I think from there, I didn't mention her name. Her name was Ifani. She's sort of like, she grumbles, but she's not mad. She understands, you know, that like this wasn't a forever thing between you guys, and like this was sort of like a stepping off point as you go to try and lead out to your journey of becoming your own hero, your own person. And in the midst of all that, there is a rustling from a couple bushes across the way from you guys.
I think Eldrick is kind of on edge a little bit from this anxiety and any sort of rustle. He's just kind of he's taking mental note of everything he hears.
No, for sure. He as you do that, you see a particularly large toad with sort of like a black and green mold like moss. Mm-hmm. It looks over at you and then just continues to hop out that way. But as that happens, we cut away into a further part of the Underwood. Boognacious.
Yeah.
You've been tracking stuff out in these wilds for a while, you know, doing your typical huntery business, but you noticed in particular that some of the animals have been acting a bit more aggressive. Some of the animals have been a bit more like moving their territories seemingly towards the like populated areas, right? Like the Underwood is like one of the last places you thought to have seen something aggressive, let alone like large or
it's usually a pretty peaceful place.
Yeah, it's a place that it's almost, it's like touristy to a fault. Like there's animals, obviously you don't go off trails and things like that, but like it's never been intense. But there's something to the woods this morning. There's like a eerie calm, like a stillness. Could I get a perception check from you?
Perception. I'm very perceptive.
That's good. That's very good.
14.
14. Okay, I'd say on a 14, you pick up a set of prints in the sort of like low brush cover of the underwood where like the ground would meet. You see a set of what looks like humanoid, like 3 to 4 toed sort of like footprints, but then you also see like amongst that some fresher footprints of these like almost like insectoid sort of foot patterns. And then behind that, you see a deliberate trail of cut brush and of
Deliberate
torn
meaning like
limbs and
they like were
like
carving
something.
their way through.
It looks like something was carving its way through.
Okay.
In pursuit of another thing.
So it looks hurried.
Yeah, it looks a bit rushed. It does look a bit rushed, and it kind of throws you off of the game that you were actually hunting for. So, like, what was going through Boogie's? I'm so sorry. I got
That's racist.
What was going through his?
That seems racially motivated. I apologize, but what is
Boogie's
going
actions
through
don't define. Boogie's not a monolith.
What is going through Boognacious's head upon seeing this sort of like?
And this is very obviously not.
This isn't
typical.
the quarry you were looking for. Yeah, no, not at all. This looks like brand new, and it looks a little like
Yeah.
it just looks like a hasty sort of like we got to get through here.
Yeah.
I know there's a trail, but we got to get through here kind of situation. What's Boogie's thought? Oh, Boognacious.
So I will say for the listener, Boognacious does not live in the Underwood, but he is very, very familiar with the area.
Being a ranger, of course.
Yes. I think seeing this definitely would draw his attention away from his current hunt. I think that he would pursue, but I think he would be a little freaked out, not like scared, but like very like cautious. Like, okay, whatever, in case whatever's going on, I'm not going to take any chances.
No, for sure.
Like,
So you're gonna follow? Are you gonna follow that trail?
Very sneakily, if I.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Give me a stealth check.
17.
17. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me. Oh yeah, you are cold chilling in the woods, straight up stealthing out as you follow this trail. And the further you go onto this trail, you start to notice like there's almost like a strafing sort of like zigzaggy trying to lose something, or maybe like trying to confuse pattern as the brush starts to seem less like intently sort of cleared away and more just like haphazardly torn about. And one of the sets of tracks, the more insect-like tracks, go to veer off in the leftward direction.
Because Boognacious would be very familiar. Are these are these Booglin tracks?
No, these are not Booglin tracks. These are much larger than Booglin tracks.
Just
these
checking.
are significantly larger than Booglin tracks. And you see that the way the brush was kind of being cut, if you want to go ahead, actually give me an investigation check.
Investigation.
Not to keep you rolling, but like I feel like I'm giving you a little bit
what
too.
Specifically? Because I would like to posit that Boognacious. There's a chance Boognacious might be able to identify these tracks.
Yes. So what you see is one set of tracks veering to the left, and one set of tracks that are less intent veering to the right that are like similarly like distressed, but these look like they end very they end very shortly to where you are currently.
Okay, I will investigate this scene, but I'm curious also if I do know these tracks.
Okay.
The investigation's a nat 20.
Oh
my
shit!
Alrighty.
Damn. First nat 20.
The nature check.
Hell yeah!
God,
Now
yes.
the
The nature check was a 16.
So with that natural 20, I don't even think Boognacious has to like continue following both trails to understand what has happened, because the trail to the left seems to continue, but the trail to the right, like almost as Boognacious's eyes are trained to like look through and beyond like just the brush and everything, you can see some smoking, and you can hear the sound of like a like guttural sort of groaning.
Okay.
And the left trail clearly has the insectoid tracks and like a less defined cut path, but still a cut path heading in that direction as well.
Okay.
And for your nature check,
yeah.
you would know that these beetles are common in the underwood, but you've not seen anything this size before.
Okay.
These are Kilroy beetles. These beetles are these massive, almost like backpack-sized beetles that cling on to the bottoms and bases of the trees in the underwood and just eat the sap from there. Very docile creatures. You wouldn't even know they were there if you weren't somebody like you trained to notice these kinds of things and pay attention to these creatures. But these tracks seem to be a lot bigger than you've ever seen a Kilroy beetle be.
I think then Boognacious would be much more interested in following the Kilroy beetle's tracks than the people who potentially split off.
Okay. So you're going to continue down that trail then?
Yeah.
All right. Give me another stealth check.
Okay.
And this is going to be a pretty high DC, my friend.
Well, I almost certainly failed a pretty high DC. I almost certainly failed a pretty low DC.
Oh, no. What was your roll?
A 4 plus 4, 8.
Okay. So you're following the tracks of the Kilroy beetle and whatever was in pursuit of this beetle. And as you are making your way through that trail, you get to a clearing where there's a few felled trees and bushes. And as you make it through this clearing, there's a few trees felled down in the path, like almost intentionally. And you make your way to a nearby area, and you're relatively hidden, you think, you feel, you know?
Yeah.
But luckily, your quarry seems to also be distracted, because as you make it past this clearing, you see an edge just nearing the border of the wilds, where the scene is a little intense.
Okay.
There is what seems to be some sort of vehicle of some kind, twisted and smashed into, like almost wrapping around, like a car wrapping around a pole.
Okay.
Against a large mushroom tree that is now tipped almost over in your direction in like a way that's like covering you, but like if you were there when this was happening, you might have gotten smashed. And nearing the edge of that, where that crash site is, you see a figure clad in these white and gold and black robes crawling away from the debris of this broken, smashed bike. And
I run over to help.
You recognize...
Oh, do I recognize them?
You're running out there to help.
Wait, do I you almost said do I recognize them?
Yeah, I was going to say you might recognize this as a member of a more prominent guild in Redemption.
Yeah, I run over to help.
One of the members. Okay.
That's what I would do. I would run over to help.
Yeah, no, that makes that fully makes sense.
I'm not throwing care to the wind.
Are there any murder monkeys nearby that you failed to mention? Like, are there any obvious, like, is he crawling underneath two massive Tyrannosaurus Rexes fighting?
As you feel this urge to, like, in your body, you feel this calling to just immediately help, because that's just in your nature. You see the Kilroy beetle.
Okay.
Slowly walk over, and a figure hop down before you even step foot out of the cover.
A figure hops down, like, off the back of the Kilroy beetle?
Off the back of the beetle. There's a secondary person still on the beetle. A taller, lankier figure hops off of the beetle and slowly walks over to the gentleman crawling on the ground and kicks him over onto his back.
Okay.
And the gentleman on the ground is looking up at him as he clutches something up to his chest.
Can I see what it is?
They're a little too far away for you to see. Like, you were going to run about a good 15, 25 feet to get to that person. Like, you're not that close to be, like, darting out. But, like, seeing that other motion and everything, you stop and you see this gentleman clutch something on his chest before he looks down at him and raises a boot.
Okay, hold up. I, upon seeing the scene, would have prepared myself to take some sort of action.
Go ahead.
I am in a bush. You know, I have, you know.
Yeah, you got cover. No, you
yes,
fully
I
have. You
cover.
get sneak attack and everything. Like I'm telling, if you want to do this, go ahead.
I am going to, whenever I see this person, clearly, I have no idea what's going on. Very much acknowledging that Boognacious has no idea what's going on. Boognacious sees this person gearing up to stomp down on this character, and he he looses an arrow in his direction. I will say to you, Kyle, I do have the feat Skulker. Ranged weapon attacks do not reveal my position.
Okay.
Also, this is definitely unrelated to what's going on, but you know how like in those CSI shows and stuff, there's always like, sometimes there's like the witness that stumbles in to the murder scene. They always live, right? They're not always the second victim.
Look, I hear you, and maybe this is stupid, but this is what Boognacious would do.
It's totally the characters, those second victims, some would call them, also are totally justified in the moment. You're behaving like a normal human being. Kyle has accidentally killed your character immediately.
Well,
I can't wait
this
to
guy
never
does a 17 hit this guy?
I'm very sorry that you ran into the big bad in the most killable way.
Are you assuming a lot? You're assuming a lot
Yes.
here? Did you do an attack roll?
That's enough out of you.
Go ahead, give me
Does a 17 hit?
a 17. A 17 does hit.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll
Hear
damage for me.
his surprise that you hit him.
That's max damage. Oh, that's 12 damage.
Oh, damn.
He's gonna like shrug.
I
it off.
think
Two things.
Yeah, no, I think
two
with-
things, just so you know. One, a ranged attack does not reveal my position. And
No, for
also,
sure.
I remain motionless in my bush. They have a minus 10 penalty to perceive my location. Because of hide in
don't
plain
think-
sight.
No, for sure.
man.
I think you loose that arrow, right?
Yeah.
And it fucking makes its mark. It hits the person. And I don't think your location necessarily is revealed by this, like you said, because of all the mechanical whatever. But
you die anyway.
without skipping a beat, this man brings his boot down with full force onto the head of this person. And you see this purple, like, energy leave their body into whatever he is gripping into his hand. And he slowly turns his head in your direction.
He
And
does
from
not know what
every-
direction is my
What?
direction.
In the direction the arrow might have come from based on
yeah,
where
yeah,
it
yeah.
stabbed into his
Arm
body.
and see it sticking out from the right side.
This entity looks at the arrow and looks in the direction that the arrow may have come in, and from all corners around you, you just hear
Oh, God.
just echoing laughter and whispers.
All right.
He hops back aboard the Kilroy Beetle. He pulls the arrow out of his arm, flicks it to the side, and they continue tearing out to the wilds.
I figured as much.
As you see them dragging the cart, but like the echoing laughter is still happening, even with them being this farther a distance away from you.
As
Tyler,
a
did you peel?
good hunter would, I recognize the danger I'm in and continue to not move for a while. I make good and sure that they're gone before I move from my position.
And as smart as you are for doing that, you see the second Kilroy Beetle begin to up the trail and now start to leave in tow with that set of beetles that was carrying the cart.
I know what I'm doing.
And they kind of look in that direction still, and they continue onto the trail.
I
Leaving this
figured I
man
wasn't going
presumably
to
for
save
dead.
this person. But
Now, I have a question. Is it going to come up that Tyler's character writes his name and address on every single arrow he fires? Or
No, but that
probably
person.
just so that I
right?
can get him back.
I think from
like a return.
I think from that
to sender.
interaction, I think you gathered from that interaction that like you didn't see any features of these people either. They were all in like these clad sort of robes. Like
scary
this this particular person that hopped off the beetle, their robes were sleeveless, and you could see this intricate series of tattoos going down their arms
Cool.
that are like these little knotted like boxes, and they just it was as if they were like, mosquito. Anyway, like they did not bat an eye to what just happened, but they are aware that at the very least someone saw them.
Yeah. Is the figure, am I to assume that they are dead?
Yeah. Do you want to go find out?
So I give it some time, obviously. I've seen both of the Kilroy beetles leave. I give it, and by some time, I mean like, Boognacious is a hunter, so he's patient.
Yeah.
He gives it a good like 20 minutes. Like he is in
That's
no
fully
rush
fine, yeah.
to make sure that
No, for sure.
he won't put
I think
himself at
you
risk.
fully see the dust settling and everything of them having gone distantly.
Yeah.
Like you can clearly tell that they are no longer in
Yeah.
this position anywhere. But I think as that happens and as they're off in the distance and you're getting ready to leave the bushes to do that, you see another one of those robed figures also leave the bushes at the exact same moment as you. Like the one on the ground, the gentleman on the ground.
Oh,
he's
gotcha,
in the same
gotcha,
sort
gotcha.
of hands of progress gear as the
Gotcha.
same gentleman there, and he's holding his arm to his side as he kind of like looks down at presumably his friend or a coworker of some kind, and he's a look of abject horror on his face as he stares at this person, because as you start to sort of walk up, they shift to the side a little fearful, but they don't have it. They don't say anything, and you can now see a better look at this corpse, and they are withered, like fully shriveled husk of a person.
Yikes.
No details are left in this body. They look almost mummified on the spot.
Yeah. I think that Boognacious is like more curious than he is like afraid of this or like grossed out by it. I think
Yeah.
he
And I
more
think
is, and he turns to the other figure and he's like, "Are you all right? I kind of ran up on the scene at the end of whatever was happening here."
They broke into the farm. They stole the gene pipe, and
Do I know? Should I roll a history check, see if I know what the gene pipe is?
sure, man, if you want to.
I super don't know what the gene pipe is.
He's just panicked. He's like just word vomiting information
Yeah.
at you, like just like he's upset and fearful and in pain, and he looks like he might have been on the other end of the trail that got thrown off
Gotcha.
in the woods back to the right
Yeah.
of the trail that you did not go down. And he'd ventured out in similar fashion to you to see the situation and see if he could save his friend. But did you roll a history check?
Yeah, I don't know what the gene pipe is.
Oh, great. Yeah. No, to you, it's all just, yeah, man, you're just saying a lot of words real fast. And he's like clearly panicked. He's like,
I'm sorry that you lost your pants cylinder. I don't know what that is, but was it important?
I don't know. I don't know if it was worth any of this. Some property for my boss. Like, did you fucking see that?
I don't really know what I saw.
I don't either.
couldn't-
All I know is my friend is now a shriveled corpse, and they just sent two of us. If he could do that to one guy, I don't know. I don't get paid enough for this shit.
I'm sorry about your friend.
Yeah, he's like 1,000-yard stare at this point, just kind of like, I don't know that I signed up for this kind of look.
What a case of the Mondays.
He sort of, after a few beats, kind of wheels his bike out of the brush that he was also pushing and is like, I know I just met you, but could you help me put this corpse on my bike?
Oh, absolutely.
And you guys load the body back onto the bike, and he...
Hold on, did they like get a grocery bag for all the brain bits, or just
No. It's just what he could salvage. He's just what he could
We had
salvage.
one of
He
those
did not
hand
save this man's brain.
vacuums.
He didn't- yeah. Essentially, you could keep him in like one of those little Dyson spheres.
Do you need a hand getting back to town? I can make sure your way is safe, or attempt to. I
yeah.
guess I don't know how much help I could be if we run into these fellows again. But
My bike is completely shot, but I don't think I can lug a corpse back to town in the condition that I am in. So
let's go.
you wanna help-
I'll
help
lead the way.
push. Yeah. Okay, and then you guys kind of tear back through the brush as you're going through the trail once again. Your nose sort of catches the smell of a fire, but not like a burning, like the forest is on fire,
Yeah.
like a campfire. he kind of is like, is that your camp set up around here?
No, it's not. Stop. And I'm gonna go ahead of the caravan to check on things beforehand.
No, for sure. And then we cut back to the rustling that was happening.
I would like to argue. Am I going to make a rustle? I'd like to roll to see if I'm going to make a rustle.
Okay, see if you make a rustle. Why not? Why not?
Rustle.
I'm just trying to narratively introduce the
I make a
characters.
rustle.
Excuse me.
I'll roll for
You made a
perception.
rustle.
Okay, there's a bit of a rustle as you notice peering from a bush nearby your camp, Eldrick. There is a small set of 4 eyes. It seems like peering from a series of bushes. But it seems like when they lock eyes with you, they slowly sort of recede back into the bush.
And as that happens, Eldrick slowly kind of moves his hands onto the 2 hilts of his long swords.
This is good.
boy.
This is gonna go well.
Hello, friend. Are you a friend of the forest?
And you hear a gravelly dragonborn voice ring out as you peer through the bushes.
I'm not going to step out. I will speak from the bush. We're just passing through. I mean no harm, no foul.
Okay. Well, any friend of the forest is a friend of mine. On your way.
And I at that point I step out and reveal myself and give them a nod and call over. I didn't get the guy's name, but I think that's on brand for Boognacious' kind of thing.
Yeah.
just
Hey, guy who still has
first.
head.
Hello, my name is Cress.
Yeah, I will call over Cress and we will continue to make our way.
I don't think he wheels the bike with a corpse into the frame. I think he probably leaves that in the bushes. He doesn't have time to explain that, but he's very injured. He's like, hey, I am in no position to fight you. I am in no position to argue with anyone. I would just like to not be out here anymore.
We're sorry to have interrupted your campfire songs or whatever is going on over
Zeknog
here.
is like,
No,
no,
it's
it's no
okay.
trouble at all. You seem a bit hurt, a bit worse for wear there, my friend. Do you need any help, any healing? And he says that to Cress as he passes him this sort of like bundle of like wrapped herbs that he like places onto the wound on his arm just for now and kind of ties it off with some corded vine. He's not going to heal him. He's not a healer. He's an old man. I did not give this old man a class. Don't ask me what his class is.
Hey, Kyle, what's his
Sort of
class?
like- he just has this natural inclination to
grade.
sort of help him out. And he ties up Cress's arm in like a sort of makeshift sling. And he's like, you guys don't have to stay if you're not feeling up to it, but we did just finish making a dinner, if need be.
Well, I appreciate the invitation, but we have some.
My goodness, you're
rather-
very beautiful.
Thank you. We have some unfortunate business to take care of. Cress here's friend was just mortally wounded in a sort of interaction that I can't quite explain. I happened upon the end of it. Actually, Cress, I mean, if you don't mind, what was going on back there?
And I think he, like, now that he's sort of like got some pressure on his arm and everything, is feeling a little more calm in the sense of like being around more friendly folk. He sits and explains to you the events of the past morning. Cress explains that there was a break-in at the Hands of Progress Guild Hall / Patrick Stump's farm. He says that this artifact known as the gene pipe that they were using to propagate seeds for growth in the underground was stolen, or in the Neverending Darkness, or in Redemption, whatever, was stolen, and upon pursuit of the assailants, they were had by their maneuverability on the back of steeds as opposed to vehicles. They spun out, got separated from one another, and in the wreckage of it, one of the members seemed to have cast something or did something to his compatriot and ended his life immediately. He doesn't know much more than the fact that they were told to pursue them and that the break-in happened. He doesn't know why it happened, who was targeting what.
So I'm accompanying Cress and helping him to bring this body back to Redemption to see that the proper authorities know what all has happened and what all has gone on here.
I think upon saying that, Zekna kind of looks over at the corpse now that he's like wheeled his stuff onto the camp, since y'all are like sitting down now, and he looks it over and he's sort of almost taken aback like him, but like he looks over to Ifani with like a look of sort of almost like horrific recognition.
I think Eldrick will kind of clock that and say, Zekna, is this something that you've encountered before? You seem to...
He sort of shakes his head almost like in disbelief as he's hearing what you're saying, but like not quite registering right away. He's like, well, the only other time we'd seen some power of this sort of ilk is when people are dealing with sort of darker, more ancient magics. These haven't been seen in the underground, even in our village, since quite some time. This is old, forgotten ways. So if someone is using this now as a tool to cause chaos and sow seeds of fear, I think they're dealing with a lot more power than a petty thievery, if what you say is true. The rumors we'd been hearing from the village before we had all decided to make our own moves were that someone was going around to the different holds and offering in exchange of power for various favors and gifts. And while it was a tempting offer, our people did not give in at first to such deals. But now it would seem that someone at least is struck in a deal with this mysterious figure. This... it's too long ago to remember their name, but their symbol, and in the sand with a stick he starts to draw what you, Boognacious, had seen on the mask of these characters that were attacking Cress's partner. It is a symbol that looks like an eye, dead centered, with arching veins that look eerily similar to the sigils that line all of Redemption and even Restuary. And this is the only sort of thing that has been a through line through all of these sort of dealings. So if what you say is true and these people were clad in masks adorning this symbol, I think this is a lot more than just stealing from a farm. I think this is cause for concern of all the layers, not just your people. And he kind of just sits down. Like, Zeknog is not as somber as the lady, not as, downtrodden, but he seems really taken aback by this.
Sounds like we ought to get back to Redemption. I think some people need to hear about this.
I couldn't agree more. This is above my pay grade. I need to tell someone else so they can do this job, and I don't have to. And he kind of laughs with a cough as you guys sort of like, I guess, if you're making your peace and saying peace out and dipping, right?
Do you want to join us into town?
I think Zeknog and Ifani don't. No, this is our place here. When we separated ourselves for this very reason. I know that seems cowardly, but I'm an old man.
That's quite all right.
I don't have the energy or the fight in me. But not to push you onto the path, Eldrick, but if there was a calling, I think this was one.
I think Eldrick is kind of picking up, where things are going, and there's almost like an anxiousness about Eldrick. Like it's very odd because he's very strong and like obviously like he's got a pretty like pretty dense build, and he looks like he could like chop a tree in half, but like
Yeah, he's
there's
got
just
a
like
hot
a
bod.
little
He's a big dude.
yeah, there's just a little bit of anxiousness about him, and just the idea of leaving his companions is kind of like welling up emotions in him, and I think he'll say, well, I think it's time for me to be on my way. I wish there was more time for us to spend together. I've thoroughly
Nonsense.
enjoyed.
There won't be any time if
Yeah.
the events I feel are starting to unfold are unfolding.
Well, your instincts have always been really sharp. So if that tells me anything, that tells me I need to leave immediately with these travelers. So
You be safe. And they kind of load you up with
You
the
as
gear.
well.
And I think Ifani is like the quietest she's been in all your time of being here. And she's sort of acting like a more motherly figure. She hands you the boxes of the dried foods and stuff, and she looks at you with tears welling in her eyes, and she just gives you a solemn nod. She doesn't say a thing. She just kind of gives you
I think Eldrick will pull her in for a hug before and for a solid like 20 seconds, like just and not
I think after a while her Ifani-ness kind of kicks back in, and she's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's a little too much. 20 seconds, 20 whole seconds. You know how long?
I'm sorry. I'm just
She sort of wipes a tear away and gives you a nod
miss you
as
both.
you guys, I guess, make your way out of the forest. And yeah.
Yeah. Friend, I don't know that I got your name. What is your name?
You can call me Lil Crumb, or Crumb is fine too.
Lil Crumb or Crumb.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, this guy stopped me from becoming what my friend here sort of befell. But enough of that. I'd like to leave these woods. And so you guys make your way back into town. And I think with Cress and Boognacious kind of leading, you guys make your way up past the lift, cut back to Kornoth. You and Hadan are making your way up to Restuary proper now. And he has one of those same sort of arc-light tablets like Kama had. And he's like, yes, I remember this. Okay, well, it looks as though
I don't know why
heading...
they insist on showing the in-flight instruction manual for safety.
They
every
spent a lot of
single
time.
It's a 10-minute video for a 30-minute ride.
But they spent a lot of time on the dance numbers and the choreographed song. And if you put your hands
I'm
outside
not saying
of the
it's not
grand
well
lift,
produced,
you're gonna
but
lose a finger. You're gonna lose a finger. Make sure you close the doors before you enter and press the button to.
I do not need to hear it again. Or
and
this
Hadan is
song.
singing. Hadan is so into it too.
Yeah.
Like he really enjoys that aspect of the grand lift.
It
But
is
yeah, the grand
torture.
lift is just like, remember the stink hole? Well, there's now a giant gaudy golden elevator that is on a wheelie system. It's very archaic for the amount of technology that is in here, but it's like on a wheelie sort of like system that like can go into the different layers and keeps you sort of like acclimated and gets you ready to be in the different areas. Because we did mention before that going into the lower levels is kind of strenuous, like if you're used to just the upper levels, so it takes some time for you to do that. Otherwise you'll get the equivalent of fantasy bends.
Yeah, I assume that's why it's 30 minutes, is because it has to be like
It can't go
slow.
too fast.
Yeah, that whole exchange that happened, you were on the elevator the entire time. Like,
Well, part of
fully
it was the ESA, obviously.
Yeah, and
don't
so
even know if
Hadan
that
pulls up
acronym
on the screen. He's
works.
like, yes, it looks like we are headed to the guild hall of the Hands of Progress. This is where they absconded with the gene pipe. I will only be escorting you there. This mission is yours and yours alone as a test by Madame Kama. She wants you to gather information on any of the assailants, if there is any footage or arcane information that they have in terms of like who they were, did they see their sizes, who they were, any markings, anything like that. And also investigate whether or not this may have been an inside job. We don't want to assume, but all things are pointing to someone let these people in.
What was the name of the person we rented out the...
Who put out the SOS? Yes, that would be one. It's Repositor Brennan. You will be meeting with Repositor Brennan in the guild hall proper, not on the farm premises. They have asked that no outside clientele for the time being until the investigation is fully underway. and done with that we don't venture over there without express permission from people on the grounds or at the guild hall. So mind yourself. If you do suspect they are hiding something, that doesn't mean barge in. That doesn't mean muscle them out of their own situation, because we could make a bad thing worse.
I feel like you're maybe...
I'm not saying you would. We've had a lot of
looking
green
at big,
people.
strong
Far
men.
be it from me.
I get it. No, my race is a very stoic and aggressive.
It's not.
I didn't know I was in the company of this kind of fight.
A lot of racism in this underground.
This is real.
I thought maybe the apocalypse would, enlighten some folks, but take it how it is, I suppose.
Listen, there was no
No,
offense meant in what I said.
You're fine.
He rustles into one of his many pockets on his large cargo shorts that are definitely a part of this fucking outfit for the Restuary crew, and he pulls out a pentagon. Sorry, Satan will rise. He pulls out a pentagon-shaped sigil badge that is the symbol of Restuary, which is a shovel piercing the earth, and he pins it onto your lapel. I don't know what kind of clothes Kornoth's wearing, like robes or something.
So he's got on wizardly robes, but they're tucked into these decorative metal boots, clearly not actual heavy armor, but they just match his gauntlets, so they are ceremonial boots basically. He's cut off the sleeves because he couldn't find any that could fit his sheer muscle.
Also got to show off those sick fucking tats.
Oh, absolutely. And then he has a fur cloak made that's purple fur.
I think he pins it to the collar of the cloak that you're wearing, and this should get you through and let people know that you are a representative of Restuary, which means you should, regardless of race or creed or class, just be on your best behavior, buddy.
The other way. We're cool.
Just be on your best behavior, friend. Mm-hmm. I'd tell that to anyone. Look at me, I'm half orc. You think I'm getting past them without them giving me dirty looks? Oh, he's half savage. Ridiculous. Anyway, make your way down to
racist in a different way.
He gives you the Arclight tablet. He's like, just follow this trail here, and it should make your way down to the farm area where you will meet with, again, Repository Brennan, and he will give you a debriefing and let you know whom was there, who you can interview, everything like that.
Just to be clear, he gave me the tablet?
Yeah, the Arclight tablet. It's not the same thing. It's same technology, but it's literally just mapping out detailed shit about your quest, what you're doing, basically.
So
it's
he
something
gave me
for
a
you to
map
look back
quest.
on.
He gave you a Shake-a-Slip.
He gave you a monsters.com.
Okay, cool.
So you're making your way through Redemption proper. Has Kornoth been through Redemption at all? Or has he spent most of his time in Restuary?
It would be so he would have been there whenever everyone first came down. Because he was with the original group.
But that's early days. Would he have?
Yes.
So I guess what I'm asking is, was he one of the people who made the Exodus when everybody left?
Yes, he was with the Exodus, but more he was still very young at that time. So more kind of just following the people he was already kind of with, not necessarily leading the charge, so to speak. I don't think he would have come back unless the guild had previously sent him back.
Right. I think it looks. There you can see the bones of what you remember from your time early on in Redemption, but you see now as you're leaving the Grand Lift, you're entering the square, and beside the pillar of remembrance that they had, there are these two sort of automated turrets that almost look like little moles, almost and they're constantly on around the clock watch. Think
so. It's
Diglett from
the
Pokemon.
Mario, how the Monty moles are Bowser's cannon centuries.
Yeah, similar
Hopefully
to
a
that,
little
but
more
more Diglett-esque from Pokemon. I want it to feel very almost of the earth and stuff, and they sort of watch this. And in that concentrated area, there's more of those runes nearing the crystal that is powering essentially the entire city. And you continue, as you're following the smart tablet, you're walking through city streets. You can smell the food from vendors. You can hear people barking and selling wares and things like that. But as you notice through the tablet, you're almost following the specific pattern of runes on the tablet that is ley lined onto the ground. It's such an interesting sort of thing that that's how people kind of navigate the city, it would seem, as you're noticing this through this sort of thing. Like, people know specific shapes and specific patterns lead to certain things. And you can also notice too that throughout the city there are like interwoven sort of bioluminescent features of like the Booglin interaction with this technology as well as with the city, where there's like these pink and fuchsia sort of like patches of like homes that are built into the side of like an entire hive cluster. So like some Booglin are living in spaces with other people. It's like very harmonious, very different, but very like things seem to be working in tandem with everything. Everything seems to have a purpose, and like it feels a lot more, there's a lot more hope in the air this time around. And being in Redemption, you feel, even with the circumstances of your mission, you feel a little like, you're breathing easy. You feel comfortable. It's like coming back home after being in high school or college. You like just, yeah, man, this is nice. This is nice. But you make your way through Redemption up to the farmhouse, and upon entering the area, you can see the glass dome that they have built the farm, as well as the Church of Redemption alongside of that as well. And there's a lot of thorough traffic happening through there, and you can see now, as you're entering as well, another group, which is you boys and Cress, are also entering the area. And there's like, now, like, you don't know each other quite yet, but at the same time, you are all able to see this sort of,
we're carrying a dead body. It's noticeable.
yeah, you guys have some weight on your shoulder, while Jeremy's getting a nice, I'm walking on sunshine, like, through his hometown. And meanwhile, it's hello, darkness, my old friends on the other side. But you all can see there's like a lot of through traffic from here. You can see that we didn't establish like that there's any like sort of like guard or like a police authority or anything, but you can see both members in those same robes as Cress walking around, as well as some more heavily armored restuary guards that are like doing around the clock sort of surveillance of the area, as well as a few more of the farm people kind of interviewing with people and talking over things. You see sort of like, not panic movement, but they are trying to repair things and get things back to normal as things are going. And you guys, as you guys pull up with Cress, Boognacious, and Eldrick, a few of the robed members see Cress and are like, and they immediately run and rush to his aid, and they pull him off to the side and move the bike, as well as a biohazard team is on the quick to sort of move the corpse in a way that's not, you know, they don't necessarily pay you guys any mind per se, as Cress is pulled off to the side and is being examined by a medical tent person, and he points in your direction with his free hand, Boognacious, and is clearly seems to be speaking of you, as well as pointing to Eldrick. But you,
I give like an awkward
Kornoth,
like wave.
Like, but you, Kornoth, you are approached by who seems to be kind of running the whole shebang. It's Repository Brennan, and he kind of has like slick hair in his face. He's like another human, which is like rare to see, but he is another human. And he gives you a smile as he's like, yes, you must be the representative from Restuary. Hi, I'm Repository Brennan. Come, we don't have a lot of time. I want to get you set up wherever you need to be so you can start this investigation. I'm getting word that there are 2 other members here that are also in tow from one of our scout teams who were chasing down the assailants. Are they with you? And he points out to Boognacious and Eldrick, who are standing near the bike.
Make that 1.
1. I see. It is unfortunate to have lost one of our people in battle, but 'tis the price of such strenuating circumstances, I'm afraid.
Hey, Kyle,
yes.
Could you, for me, because there's a very key character detail about Kornoth that I've not mentioned.
Oh, boy.
Where is his penis? Where is it located?
You tell me now.
I need you to kind of describe the scene for me, because Kornoth is...
So you enter in, you're entering in from like the city proper on the outskirts. It's like a more hillside area. To your left, there is a large, again, similarly to the build of Restuary, farmhouse that is built into the side of the stone wall that is directly lining the outer edge. There are a couple silos, as well as a few fields that are being tended by some of those mower bikes and people. But down further, there is a X'd off or sort of like taped off area with like a giant hole in the side of the farmhouse, leading with like a trail leading down back to sort of the area that you are currently in. And beside that is the guild hall, with people kind of coming to and from there, planting sort of like more tape around areas, doing examinations of like the soil and everything. You're coming in from like a frontward. You're basically facing this like dead on. And like to your left is the farmhouse and like the crime scene. To the right is the guild hall and like a bunch of.
So this map is like you kind of clarified earlier. This map that I have is like almost like to the foot accurate, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it doesn't account for things like people or carts with a dead body in the way.
No.
So my question is, Kornoth is painfully oblivious if he's focused on something. So who or what does he run into whilst
Brennan.
looking at this map?
Oh, you would definitely have run into Brennan because they stopped in front of you, seeing your symbol that's pinned on your shirt. If you continued to walk, so you're telling me you stumbled into this man having a conversation with you?
That
is correct.
Would you have not heard him once he addressed you?
He went, yes, you must be the representative. And you just walk through him? Is that what I'm to assume?
Kornoth bumps into him and is, oh, you were speaking to me.
Yes.
He puts
hello.
Hello, and he like.
Do you always make it a habit of bumping into people whom you've just met?
I don't know if there's an answer I can give that won't make you further upset.
Did you hear any of the things I was talking to you about in the last, I don't know, few seconds?
There's a dead scout.
Definitely didn't mention the dead guy. That guy mentioned the dead guy. Gotta pay attention, buddy. Gotta pay attention, buddy. Again, I'm asking.
I'm looking for Representative Bryant.
I think they literally just like hand on their bridge of their nose. Yes, I'm Representative Brian.
Yes.
Representative
it's Repositor Brennan.
What should I do about the dead?
Brennan?
Pardon me, there's a lot of stress going on. I'm Repositor Brian. Brian, fuck! Brennan!
Oh, yeah, I apologize. You should have a name. I have a name tag. New, to be fair.
You know, if you paid attention, you would see it's embroidered on most of the robes of the people around here. People who work here.
He looks at him and he scrunches, and then he pulls out a human-sized pair of reading glasses that do not fit his big Goliath head. So like they like bend on the sides in order to actually go.
Fucking shit!
He puts it on. It's like, yes, my apologies. That's very overly complicated. I feel like you should
for
just
an
use
investigator sent by one of the premier arcane repositories, you sure have an attention situation.
I think you misunderstand what we are good at. I have already on my trip, whilst listening to the beautiful dancing, have already memorized this book of everything about this gene pipe that you have lost. So let's be clear on, you're asking for our help after we lent you a thing and then you got it stolen. So I don't want our positions to be, I may be a junior of the other organization that you fucked up. So I don't care how high you are on this rank.
Yes, we fucked up.
Your team.
Right. I think Brennan fully just ignores what you've said there and just kind of takes a mental note of your attitude after bumping into them.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's totally
it just turns. Again, I ask you, are these two gentlemen that have escorted one of my men back to here, are they with you?
They weren't on the elevator with me.
Well, maybe one of you can be less...
Are you two with me? I don't believe so.
No.
I just look at Boognacious and I'm like,
they don't appear to have
what the fuck
badges.
is this guy's deal?
I look behind me
well,
like...
at any rate...
You're talking to... No.
Well, at any rate, that is neither here nor there. We have a lot to go over here. If you are here to indeed help with this investigation, please, this way. And he kind of guides you into the actual, like, farmland proper, like, onto the premises or whatever. He's grown tired of this interaction and is inviting all three of you up now. Okay, I'm trusting you two because you haven't said something to piss me off and brought back one of my men alive. You work for Restuary, so I kind of have to trust you.
That is accurate, yes.
In the early hours of this morning, there was an explosion. 4 armed gentlemen made off with the gene pipe, as you so seen in your briefing. We have no idea.
What was the color of the explosion?
I'm sorry, what?
The color of the explosion.
Purple.
Thank you. Continue.
They made off with the gene pipe and we sent people in hot pursuit, but obviously that did not go as planned. One of our men has come back and he is now being treated at the medical tent. We'll be getting information from him that we can, but the assailants only made off with this one item, did not destroy anything else, did not take anything else. If we could get you all to interview a couple of the people around here, seeing as you are not directly tied to them, so there's no reason for them to try and save their job from a stranger. Get any information you might have from them, and then from there, we can offer you as much information as we have in terms of any security footage or any sort of things of that nature. But this was a very quick, precise job that seemed almost planned. So if we could just...
I already have a select number of questions for you, and then you can go off being whatever you do. Where was the explosion specifically? Was it needed to gain entry? Was it used as a distraction? I would like a detailed timeline to the best of your ability. I need a manifest of every single employee and their access level for the day. And also, if you had any members of your employ that were out sick that day and they should have been working, I would like to know that as well.
Well, we're not going to get you any of that with your clearance levels, so...
okay, so then you don't want to recover the device.
The explosion was used as a means of escape by the assailants who had somehow gained entry through underground means. They did not enter through the door. They burrowed in through the floor. If you would come this way, and they kind of lead you towards the area in which... Did you mean to rhyme just
there, or was that an accident?
I didn't. No,
it was very
definite
good.
Accident.
I appreciated it.
You're welcome. And so they lead you over to the area that is being blocked off currently, where you can see there's like singed sort of like burn marks from the explosion coming outward, and right underneath where the gene pipe would have been connected to a bunch of other arcane machinery, there is a tunnel literally burrowing up. Like the way that the dirt is kind of coming up from it, you can tell that this was like done. It's about the same size as the Kilroy beetles that were mentioned in the briefing.
I was gonna say I wanted to investigate that to see if it looked like the Kilroy beetles dug these holes themselves.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you even need to roll for that. You're good. I think that definitely they were used as they're basically all-terrain beetles.
All-terrain beetles.
They were used. Exactly. They were used to burrow their way through this area, and from there they were able to, I guess, abscond with the thing. You haven't investigated the actual area of the machinery, right? Like you're just looking at the hole.
Oh, I was specifically referring to the hole.
Okay, yeah. I don't think we had any contingency plans as a company that maybe someone would come in through the ground to steal from us.
In this
so I do apologize.
Underground world, you never thought that. In this underground world full of burrowing and digging creatures, you never thought of securing...
This is an unprecedented scenario in that these beetles, these people, this was not to be... This is not something that...
I mean, my people could have done this same thing in a heartbeat. It never crossed your company's mind to I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, just...
Kornoth wants to do a roll while they're talking and he's talking about it. I want to see... he suspects that the floor is reinforced somehow. So he wants to see... He wants to try to investigate to determine how it's reinforced. 23.
It seems like it was reinforced in the same way that the walls and other materials around here are made of a pretty durable, not it's not anyone's just going to be able to push the building down, but like I don't think it was they planned for an explosion or any burrowing insects. And upon what was the score did you get on that investigation?
23. 23
Oh yeah,
to kind of.
then upon doing that as well, you notice that like where the burrowing stopped, there's clearly signs of another explosion upward from the actual metal plating.
Yes. Okay. And then just to Kornoth, he has a hunch. Just to clarify, so it sounds like all of the walls and ceiling are fortified. Was the floor the weakest fortified spot?
I don't think necessarily that it was a weaker fortified. I think they are all up to about the same sort of fortification. I think the digging was not going to dig through the material, and so whatever means of explosive that they used to both escape was how they also gained entry after burrowing up. The tunnel is separate. The burrowed tunnel is separate from the actual sort of like entryway that they built into the thing. It's not just all stone. They're not just on top of dirt.
As both of them are like arguing, and he's kind of mocking the guy, Kornoth is going to step up. Well, strange man who is here for some reason, and is shorter than other people. Interesting.
I think Brennan is just like dumbfounded by how rude you've been this entire time.
Not to Brennan. To
me.
No, Brennan knows you aren't saying that to them. I think Brennan's just like.
If you would look, the floors are actually just as reinforced as the walls and ceiling, and there's clear evidence of an explosion. It was not simple burrowing.
Mm-hmm. I think Brennan is also taken aback by that they hadn't picked up on that they would have had to use that same means to get in. They're like, very astute observation.
I acknowledge I'm
kind of with Brennan on you just being a dick.
I acknowledge I am a bit of an abrasive person.
That's a fun way of putting it.
I'd apologize, but I genuinely
you look
don't
weird.
feel bad.
Sorry, I'm kind of abrasive. Sorry, I just say whatever's on my mind.
Are you the guy that I'm supposed to be working with? Yeah, why don't I be an asshole to you for the first 25 minutes when I clearly know that this is a test by Restuary for you? Interesting.
At this point, I think Eldrick he's been kind of just quiet in the corner. But I think his anxiety is like kind of spiking, and like you could see his like he the whole time he's been in the city.
Give me an investigation check real quick, Eldrick.
4.
Oh my goodness. You're having an anxiety attack.
Yes. Eldrick is full of anxiety and conflict.
Since you guys were both also kind of looking around, why don't you both also give me investigation checks?
I think while they're rolling, Eldrick is just kind of come in and just say
16.
17.
Guys, can we please just I think we're all here to help, but a man died today.
As you're saying this and kind of
out.
stepping closer to the group, you step on, like, so far you guys have been hearing metal thunking, but as you step forward, you step into a patch of grass.
Do I know? I probably don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't notice that, but Boognacious and Kornoth, you notice that he steps into a patch of grass in the middle of this sterile sort of like area, and like the grass sort of leads outward from the area of the where the device had been pulled away from the wall, and it's leading sort of like almost a trail now out to where the pursuit was being had, and you can see that grass was freshly mown around where the mower bikes sort of took in pursuit, but the grass that is in this sort of like almost like splotched spilled happenstance pattern is continually growing.
Interesting. So it seems like some kind of magic thing.
As soon as he notices that, while they're kind of just mocking him for being abrasive, he like completely stops paying attention, takes out his reading glasses again, puts them on, and he literally gets on all fours and just grabs his leg that he stepped on the grass with, and just tries to
you could have just asked for me to move.
He doesn't say anything. He just gets on the ground and lifts it up and he examines it.
I'll just walk off. Eldrick just walks off.
Yeah, as you lift your foot off the patch of grass where you stepped, normally when you step on grass, it kind of leaves like a little smooshed print, but it immediately starts to sort of rise back up into full formed, like perfect grass.
And Kornoth wants to try to see if he can identify the magic in play here.
Give me an investigation check.
An Arcana?
Oh yeah. Arcana check would be working. Yeah.
God, I'm so good at the few things I'm good at. 24.
20. Wow, holy shit. Give me a goddamn second. I gotta get more details than I fucking have for you. With a 24, you definitely can tell, like, on the edges of where the grass is growing. It's not, like, rooted in anything. Like, you could clearly just pick this patch of grass up off this...
But it's, like, healthy.
Off this metal sheet here. And when you do that, you see it's sort of like a brackish kind of, like, teal fluid. And where the grass was moved, more grass begins to grow in that same spot. And you kind of can spot that as almost like a vague transmutation magic.
Okay.
You're getting the air of like it's converting something there on the it's almost converting the metal of the floor itself into living tissue. Like it's becoming the grass as it sits there the longer that fluid sits on it.
He looks at Brennan and goes, I have 2 questions for you. One, did we ever establish who those 2 people are? It's fine. And the second one, would you like me to focus on determining how they stole the item or recovering the item?
I think they kind of like notice you paying attention to that and they're like, yes, no, with the item, the assailants, we did not get any visual on who they were, but we did get this, and they pull up on one of those, a similar pad to the Arclight pad that you have in your hands, and they pull up a picture of like the 4 masked figures breaking free some of the piping and like wiring of the gene pipe, and one of them is like there's another frame that they swipe to, and the same sort of like purple magic is pulling the device free from the wall. And again, you see that same sort of eye symbol and everything, and you see that sort of teal fluid sort of spraying about onto the floor as they're loading it up onto things, and that's where the grass patch that you can see in the room now is sort of at where they were loading everything, and you could see like shallowed spots where their beetles were parked and everything, but other than that there's no other images. It looks like it was blown up, like the camera itself or whatever device was being used to take these photos was destroyed in the explosion.
Does Kornoth recognize that symbol that they have?
Give me a history check, because I know that they had previous information, but I don't think you would.
No, it's not going to be high. It's like a 9.
You've maybe come across the imagery in passing in like some of the more like obscure arcane books that you've been reading up on, like studying magic stuff about your gauntlets or whatever, but nothing in particular comes to mind. But upon seeing those photos, you 2 recognize from the drawing that the other Dragonborn gentleman, whose name I forgot off the top of my fucking head. Yeah, Zekna had drawn in the dirt back there. You recognize immediately that these are in fact the image. Their mask bears a striking resemblance to that image that you saw.
I'd probably mention that, like, from the corner, like I'm not moving from the corner now, now that I got in the way. But I'm literally just like from the corner, just relaying what Zekna told us about the symbol and everything.
Only now, while he's talking, does Kornoth realize he should get up and like stand and like.
I think Brennan sort of he kind of nods as you're giving him the information, and he's like, I'll send word to someone to get some, at the very least, papers of wanted posters provided around the city to keep an eye out for this symbol. That is some information that we did not have. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think from there they send off a quick message on the Arclight pad. I really wish we had more information on why they specifically targeted this device, but there's countless of other pieces of machinery and arcane technology here that they could have easily stolen for quick cash or whatever, but this seems deliberate. This seems like maybe a competitor trying to start their own farm in a lower level. We don't know, but again, we're hoping that if we could maybe perhaps send word out to some of the other guilds to try and get any other information on maybe having seen this before or seen something like this in their sort of guild halls? Has other stuff been targeted? Have any other items in this sort of field been targeted? Because it seems as though this was the first. But again, we have not heard any word from any other people around the city yet of similar situations. But if what you say is true about this symbol, then we need to be vigilant about watching these people and trying to make sure that if they are going to move again, we can stop.
I will say, guild leader Brian, that I don't know that.
It's Brennan, please, God. It's Brennan. It's Brennan. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It's Brennan.
Yes, Brennan. I don't know that I really am of any use in this sort of investigation. I'm only really here because I wanted to lend a hand to one of your hands.
Well, I mean, technically, this rude one works for me. You could aid him in his investigation.
Very distinctly not how the guild
not
interactions work. I am working with you. I am a liaison. Not a great liaison, but a liaison. I will say, this, to be clear, this will not be coming out of the restuary's supplies.
No, this was one of several of these pipes. They did not even take the others that we do have on loan from Restuary. It is just one pipe.
Yes, that will be something. Restuary obviously works very hard to reclaim these devices.
For sure.
You will be investigated afterward. This is, I can't do anything about you. I especially, at low stature as I am, I will say I will put in my best word possible the more willing you are to tolerate me. I do apologize. Not really, but I assure you there is a method. I would also say that whilst I was sent alone, initially it was assumed that this investigation would stay in the city. I do not possess the skills necessary for woodland travel. Judging by this man's dirty clothing, I would assume he is much more equipped. Would that be a fair assessment?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I would suggest for your sake, because you're helping me help you, I just want to make sure we understand, yes, it benefits me, but I didn't lose a very valuable magical item and get snippy about it.
Sure.
I would suggest that your guild allocate a small fund to help in my investigations, having a ranger, I believe they're called. Are you a ranger or a druid? They both seem rather dirty. I've never been able to tell them apart.
I don't even know how to answer that. I'm a ranger.
Oh, you're a ranger. Okay. So no turning into parakeets or whatever they do.
Well,
that's good.
Not yet today. We'll see. We'll see where the day takes us.
I don't know if I have allergies, but it'd be a terrible way to find out. What would you charge? Well, I guess that's not the right question. Well, I guess it kind of is. You've got a bit of a...
This has gone from wild to pretty buck wild. This isn't how any of this works. You see, our guild is now going to be posting what is called a mission for you now to pick up, to go and retrieve the item that was stolen for us. There's no payment exchange. We have all the information here. There's a literal trail of magic grass that you can follow now that you've pointed it out. Which, thank you, by the way.
As part of a guild, I thought...
Well, your circumstances might be different. You might want to establish yourself with a guild house, but for our partner here, if you'd like to aid in him, I'm sure that would go a long way to getting you into one of the many guild halls around Redemption and the other layers, but you are not obligated like this gentleman here is to continue necessitating or aiding
yes.
us in our
I
endeavors.
will do this question.
Yes, of course. So I will be sending that to your Arclight tablet then, and you hear like a sort of notification pop up onto your tablet.
Can you describe the sound that it makes? Oh,
Very
I
good.
love it.
And just so Kornoth understands, and I guess everybody understands. Basically, Kornoth has been given like access to the quest, like with the specific reward. Obviously, he's not getting it, but he's like he's a static member. And
Yes,
like this
you are
quest
now
is-
involved in the like furthering of this. Like the investigation
Yes.
basically was to come and see the scenario and see the damage and how much was stolen, whatever. You found out that it is one gene pipe that has been stolen out of a series of multiple that they have here. Like it's not like it's something like detrimental. It just seems very purposeful. Is what you've gathered here, and like what you've learned that it wasn't an inside job. It was someone who knew precise information though about what was going on here and the things, the artifacts that this place housed, came in, got one of the artifacts, made off with it.
So what is the quest, as in like what is the offer?
Quest that you are going on now
yeah.
is to you're going to be following this trail to see both A, if you can figure out where these people have absconded with this, and B, if it is for more nefarious purposes than just trying to sell it or offload it to somebody who's a higher bidder.
The thing Kornoth actually needs to know, how much gold does he have to bribe these two strangers into making them help him? Because he brought his scholarly book. It is not
yes.
he has lots of notes and lots of different
in a discussion of payment, you will be receiving 3,000 gold pieces now, and then upon retrieval of the device, you will be receiving an additional 3,000 gold pieces.
And I'm assuming that's split 3 ways. Like it's
if you'd like to split it 3 ways, I just made it a 3 number to let you split it if that's something you're choosing to do.
Got it. Okay.
This is all. They didn't say any of this to you. It's listed in the briefing.
This is my budget for the quest, basically.
Yes. You have $3,000 worth of budget for the current portion of the quest that you are on, and then 3,000 upon retrieval of the item.
As y'all are having this discussion, because from what I've picked up from Kornoth, he's probably not paying me and Lil Crumb any attention whatsoever. I just look over to Lil Crumb and I was like, I mean, I think I was gonna help without the payment, but I mean, I guess money is nice, you know?
I mean, money is really not of much interest to me, but
yeah,
you know,
I mean, I was living out in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I won't make that like publicly known.
Yeah, I mean,
like
if
an
I can
easy
get some
opportunity
free
for someone
money,
to take advantage of me. But
yeah, do we like this guy?
Not a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see.
Maybe over our journeys we will go on some sort of character's journey where we learn to love each other and grow close as a group. Who knows?
I doubt it.
Possibly by the end of Act 2.
I think Brennan walks over to you too as well. He's like, since you guys are not established with any guilds in the City of Redemption at the moment to allow you access to this quest as well as working with him, I will make you honorary hands of progress for the time being, since you are working under our sort of jurisdiction and trying to get something back for us. So, you should get any of the all benefits as well as this, and they hand you one of the Arclight tablets each, with the same debriefing that Kornoth now has, and they pin a little lapel of 2 hands grasping a handful of grain against your sort of collar, or if you have any clothes. I don't know what Boognacious is wearing.
Oh, I'm wearing I'm wearing very kind of classic Rangers outfit. Very much so blends in. My back is essentially like covered in almost like ghillie suit material.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing
but
too. Okay,
the front
that's good.
is like browns and greens,
like leathers and stuff.
Yeah,
I think they pin it onto like the collar or like the clasp of where your ghillie suit sort of like cape thing meets your collar, and then they look at you in your barbarian garb and kind of pin it to your loincloth.
No, I have like a little. So I do have like a vest on. It's like a deep V vest, basically.
Okay, good.
No sleeves, but it's got like a big hood on the back that I usually keep down. But you can put it on my chest right there.
I'm assuming at this point, Brennan kind of fucks off.
Yeah, Brennan's just like, you guys have the information you need. You've got a literal trail that you could be hot on. Why don't you go on? Why don't you out of here? Get out of my goddamn hair.
Thank you, Repositor Brennan.
You're the only one who's got my name right. You get an extra 500 gold when you come back.
Oh, God, I hope I live.
I'm just joshing. I don't have that. I can't
Yeah, I
do
don't.
that.
I hope I live. I was very surprised.
I hope I live.
So anyway, you new strangers want to go help me find out where they made a bomb?
You just listened to the first installment of Story Bazaar, Road to Redemption, by Kyle Barthélemy. If you liked it, there's gonna be another one next week. And then another one the next. And probably one more after that. Then that'll be the end of it. Unless it isn't. I can't be sure. If you're still here, I lied. I can be sure. I can. I just can't let Tyler know that I know, otherwise I'll be terminated like that annoying kid from the really sad documentary Terminator 2, Judgment Day.